Hi, hello, and welcome to the basement. The setup here is extremely cursed. First of all, there's no space in here. I'm literally sitting on the floor of this weird walk-in closet situation in the basement, and not that I'll be doing gymnastics or acrobatics in here or anything, but I can't really reach my arms out. I can't sit up straight and reach my arms out like this. So that's that situation. The lighting situation is also kind of funny because I have to make sure that the light doesn't reflect in my glasses. Like you can see if I look up, the light is actually right there. It's being haphazardly held by Crayola Creations Thread Wrapper Custom Color Pack. And that box in itself is just stuffed into a gap in the rack. So I don't really know how that happened. Anyways, with that aside, I'm here to talk about the RISE summer camp at Boston University, which I attended in the summer of 2024. And I don't know what this video is going to be on specifically, but it's like an amalgamation of tips to apply, I guess, and also my experience with the program. So obviously it's going to be different for everyone because everyone has their own preference and their own backstories, but these were my opinions. So there we are. I don't know if you guys will find it helpful, but I know at least when I was talking with some of the people at my camp, we noticed the lack of videos about this camp online, and we all happened to watch the exact one, so maybe this will be another one. Who knows? Oh my gosh, I'm about to be I'm not saying that again. Okay. I'll also have a super document of everything I talk about here. Actually, I probably won't be talking about everything in that document here because otherwise I will just yap for too long about probably unimportant things. So be sure to take a look at that if you're interested. It'll be inside of, I don't know what the box is called in YouTube, but I think the description box or whatever. So that'll have some more information and some like specific sections. So if there's a section that you're particularly concerned about, then I would look there. You can also, like, low-key, I will answer comments. If you have a question that I did not talk enough about, you can just ask in the comments and I will try to respond as quickly as I can. So for this first section, it'll be some general advice, and I'm assuming for this one you got accepted and are going to commit to RISE. So this is, I think, how you could take advantage of this program. So first of all, I would say I think this is true for like any summer camp, not just RISE exclusively, but talk to as many people as you can, make a lot of friends because all of you are super interested in math and science or like whatever field that you applied yourself to. So for example, maybe in practicum, if you did computational neurobiology, or I think data science is a new track this year, or your internship, whatever topic you decided to delve in there. Nonetheless, whichever topic that you are in, you're all super interested in math and science, which is why you applied, right? So I think that's super cool, and you get to meet a bunch of people who are also passionate about that subject. You're also all in the heart of Boston, and I'm assuming most of you probably are from out of state, or at least out of the city, so you'll get to explore this place together, and it's super fun that way too. And besides talking to your peers, I think it's very valuable to also talk to your teaching fellows, your mentors, or any people of that sort, your program assistants, and just everyone around you, because I mean, I think this is like the only chance you get to meet these people, right? So you get to make a lot of long-lasting friendships. Like, I have a friend from all the way from Hong Kong. I have a friend in San Jose, and there's also a lot of people from a lot of other places too. So I think that's super cool. And I think, again, applies to any summer camp, but like, please don't stay in your dorm the whole time because you're not gonna really do anything there except for work. And low-key, the dorms at BU are kind of bad from my experience, but I think that's because I didn't come from a super hot region. Like, there were a bunch of heat waves and the dorms were pretty much like unlivable, so I think the temperature in itself is gonna force you out. But if somehow that doesn't, if you're from like Vegas or Texas or something that's super hot, I would still encourage you to go out and explore, because first of all, I think high temperatures are not good for you, but second of all, besides that, I think also social isolation is not good for you. So it's good to be able to kind of take this opportunity and explore a bunch of places because it's your one chance. You're here, and so you should take the full opportunity. And that actually leads to my next point, which is to be curious just in general. Like, I think, again, this applies to all camps, but for whatever topic you are engaging yourself in, that's something worthy to be curious about. After all, that's why you applied, probably. but also with the space and with the people around you, like it's very much worth exploring Boston, the campus, and also meeting a bunch of people. I think I'm going to be reiterating those topics again and again just because I think that's what makes summer camps the most unique, because I think you can really get the knowledge from anywhere. Like, for example, there's like MIT courseware and stuff on YouTube, right? But it's the people that you can't really get anywhere else. And I think that's where Rise and a bunch of other summer camps come in. And for some more camp-specific tips, I would say that at least for computational neurobiology, which is the track I was in, I would say you should probably have some background knowledge in Python. I think the site says you don't need any computer science experience, and that's totally fine if you're applying that way. But I think once you get in, before you go into camp, it's probably pretty helpful to have some of that knowledge. Maybe not necessarily in Python. I think Python is the language that they use, but as long as you have some coding experience, because the way, like the approach to thinking about those kinds of problems is probably very different if you've never seen that before. So I think it's very helpful to do that, because otherwise, I know there were a lot of people there who went in without computer science knowledge and they were fine. It was just really, really difficult, like a lot harder for them for the first few weeks. I took some computer science courses, but it was even hard for me at some points. So I would say it's good to have some background in there. And I think especially with data science, I would assume something similar with like knowing how to use maybe R or something. If you're actually looking for the research experience, I would say to apply to the internship track, because that's where you actually get to do some one-on-one work with your mentor or some grad student who's there. I think practicum is great if you don't have any research experience. Like, I barely had any research experience when I was applying, so those tracks were a lot more structured and I think a lot more lecture based, and we actually only did research during the last 2 weeks of the program rather than the entire program. With the internship track, I think they were working on their projects, their individual projects, like the entire 6 weeks. So I think if you are sure of what kind of project that you want to do, I would encourage doing the internship track. And I don't know that my advice is super helpful for internship because I didn't do it, but I think just generally, like, there's some other essay questions other than the ones for practicum. So I would say, like, I think you have to like look for professors or something. So definitely do some background research in that. I know a lot of people, oh yeah, there is a Rise Discord. I don't know if I'm allowed to post a link to that, but if you know someone who's in it, you could probably ask about it from them. But I know a lot of people there were concerned about not being able to find the right professor, but that's honestly not a huge deal. Some advice from other campers, I posted a story and these were some of the responses I got. So I think, again, it really depends on who you are and your personal preferences for some of these. Like, for example, bringing a fan, I'm not super sensitive to heat, but my roommate was, so she actually brought an extra fan, and low-key that helped a lot. So if you're someone who's like really sensitive to heat and can get a heat stroke from like sustained high temperatures, then probably do get a fan or something. If not, you'll probably be okay. It will kind of be bad and miserable at night, but like, it's fine. I survived, I'm still here, so it's fine. There's some advice that applies no matter what the situation is. Like, I really like the savor every moment because it goes by too quickly. I remember at the beginning I was like, it's gonna be 6 weeks here and it's gonna be really scary, but the time just kind of accelerandoed itself, so it definitely goes by super quickly. And so I highly encourage you to take full advantage of this opportunity. Okie dokie. Yes, so when you are applying, you have, what day is it today? As I'm recording this, it is the 17th. Okay, well, you guys have about a month before your application is due, so I would say get started on that, because don't do what I did with writing your essays like pretty much the days before it was due, because those should take some time. So please put some time in those, because, you know, it's kind of important. I'm not providing my own statistics because I don't think that's super helpful, but it's like not like you could change your GPA by that much by the time, like, in the span of a month, so It's okay. I'm sure whatever GPA and whatever scores you have, I think the scores are optional too. I think whatever you have is totally fine. That's why I'm saying the essays are really important, because those are really the game changers, right? Maybe your GPA, you're not happy with it. And honestly, like, I'm sure it's fine. But if you're not happy with that for some reason, I think the essays are a really good opportunity to kind of make that your strong point of your application. And after all, the essays are where you get to tell about who you are. So definitely spend more time on those. The recommendation letters, not that you'll be able to see or change the content in them very much, but those are also very important and indicative of who you are, so be sure to ask your teachers about that. If you haven't asked your teacher about your recommendation letters, you probably should do that pretty soon. So they're due on the 21st. Yes, so the application is due on the 14th this year. The letters are due the week after, but still ask your teachers as early as you can. And I would say ask the teachers who know you the best rather than the ones who are in the subject that you're applying as. I mean, it's great if the teachers are both teaching the subject that you're interested in and also the ones who know you the best. Of course, that's ideal, but I think the weighting is the teachers knowing you takes the greater precedence. So yeah. Everyone's situation is different, so I think just do your best. I know that's easier said than done. Do your best, spend time on those essays, and whatever happens. I'm sure you're a wonderful individual nonetheless, and a lot of these applications are a gamble. Also, if you do this is pretty good practice for college applications if you are applying as undergrad to somewhere. I think general advice, I don't know how helpful this is because I can't really say for your situation, but I don't know what got me in. You're probably not gonna know what got you in either, so just take harder classes or demonstrate your interests, genuine interests. Don't take classes just because you're I think Miss Yang said that this class was good, so I'm going to take it. No, please don't do that. Take classes that you think you would be interested in, because when you're writing those essays, they can tell. The people reading them can tell if you're genuinely interested or not. I think some people are probably really good. There's probably a small percent of the population who are really good at making it sound like they're interested in something. But please don't do that, because first of all, that is not good for your mental health. Please do things that you enjoy doing. And whether that be through your classes or through your extracurriculars. This is also true for college applications. Please don't do things just because of the application. I think it's much easier to write an essay about something that you're actually interested in rather than something that you kind of forced yourself to do. So keep doing the cool things that you're doing, even if they don't look prestigious or something. I think prestige is a very arbitrary term and it really doesn't matter too much in the long run. I think as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, you're on the right path. As for the workload, it depends on the day of the week, but on Mondays we had some sort of workshop in the morning and then followed by a field trip to somewhere in Boston or Cambridge. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays we had a lecture, a pre-lab lecture, and then lab. So the lab was, at least for computational neurobio, it was either some sort of computational lab, which in that case was doing some practice problems in some topic in computer science. And for the wet lab, it's literally what it is. It's we did a sheep brain dissection, we analyzed action potential of worms. So this could change in future years because I know they were talking about changing the content and things, so it might not apply to you guys, but that's some of the things that we did at least, and perhaps something that you'll do as well. I think it's a lot more computational heavy. So yeah, because the computational lab takes a lot more of time. For your final project at least, you kind of get to choose your group, and that is also pretty computational heavy. So you probably want someone whose main or whose strength is computer science there, or you could do it yourself and learn that way. I think that's also super valuable. I think it's good to have an even balance. Everyone's gonna have their own strength. I think whoever you meet and whoever you vibe with, you're gonna come together, you're gonna do some good stuff. And the teaching fellows will definitely be there to help you. They're super supportive. If you have a problem, they're gonna help you and get it fixed. The public transportation kind of depends on your previous experience with public transportation. where I'm from is a small town, and the only public transportation available are buses every hour, and they're also almost always late. So any form of public transportation probably would have been better than that. So I thought the T's and stuff, like the trams, were pretty decent. Like, they obviously had their own issues. They would stop randomly sometimes and weren't always on time, but I think it was pretty decent. I know some people who came from, say, like New York City maybe would say that it's not as good, but I don't know. It's kind of like your background or whatever. If you're reading on Reddit, a lot of people say it's terrible, but I think that is quite a biased source, so take that as you will. I know a lot of people from internship had their campus somewhere else, or had their, I don't know what the building would be called, but they had their lab somewhere else outside of BU campus, so they would have to take a bus there. And don't worry, like, all the travel fares for those are covered for you. If you're doing internship, it'd have to be somewhere else. So that's, like, you don't have to pay for that or anything. The camp does that for you, and you'll be fine. And honestly, I think most of my public transportation, even though like I didn't really need to go anywhere, was also mostly free, because I kind of just camped a lot of the activities that they provided, or a lot of the events they provided, which provided the Charlie cards. So a Charlie card, I don't have one here. I racked up 21 of them at the end, but they give those to you for free if you sign up for these events, and usually you don't use up all of the money on there, so I just got a bunch of free rides on those cards, so I'm actually probably going to use them, which is the really funny thing. But yeah, if you sign up for the events and you want to go somewhere else, like, your public transportation is probably going to be free. But also, Boston is relatively walkable, so if you aren't able to get that for some reason, you can always just walk. That's fine. I think there's also blue bikes, but I'm not super familiar with that because I didn't use them. But they seem super well stocked most of the time. But if you're planning to do that, you need to bring a helmet, because if you don't wear a helmet when wearing a bike, you can actually get expelled. So don't do that. The dorms. Okay. I personally really did not like the dorms. I did not like staying in them, but to give it some slack, it was pretty spacious, I think, compared to a lot of the dorms. Like, there was a bed, there was a closet, there was a desk and stuff, and the view was pretty decent. I would say the only reason why I hate on it is because it is so hot in there. Oh my gosh. I come from Nevada, and it can get pretty hot there sometimes. Like, I'm not from Vegas, Nevada, so maybe that's why, but I thought it was burning hot at some points. Like, I would just wake up and in a pool of sweat sometimes. It was kind of gross. But I know I didn't have it the worst, because my roommate would faint and stuff, and that was not great for her. So I think, again, this depends on your tolerance to heat. So if you know you are not tolerant to heat, probably bring a personal fan or two. There's a Target that's like 15 minutes away from the dorms, so they also sell like a bunch of fans. So if you're not able to bring a fan for some reason, you could do that. I think you could also have stuff shipped from home, so that's another option. Okay, the food. The food is kind of controversial. I personally thought it was fine, but I kind of had low expectations. I'm also not on any dietary restrictions, so that wasn't a challenge for me. But I know for some people who were vegan had a lot of trouble because they only have one station for vegans, and if you don't like that dish, you're kind of cooked. In the kitchen, haha. Sorry, that was terrible. So I had the 19 meal plan, which was fine, but like, I wasted a lot of them, so I kind of recommend the 14 meal plan just because there's a lot of food in Boston. And also, you could probably, like, they have bags of bagels, so take that as you will. Like, the food is fine. I would say, like, it's edible. I would give it, like, I don't know, a range of 7 to 9 out of 10. Like, it's okay. I don't know how helpful that metric is because you do not have my taste buds. I've heard some horror stories about stuff in the food, but I never had that experience. I'm also not very observant, so I think if you just go in with low expectations, you'll be fine. You'll be full, they're not gonna starve you, you'll be fine. You probably won't get poisoned. I've heard worse horror stories, so it's fine. It's not great, but it's alright. I know some people absolutely hated the dining halls. I was okay with it. Some people loved it, so I don't know how helpful that could be, but yeah, it was fine. You can also rent a micro fridge and microwave together. I did not do that, but my roommate did, and so we just ended up sharing. I think it's not super essential. Like, you'll just have to keep in mind if you don't have it. If you know your roommate got one, then you'll probably just have to keep that in mind if you're going out to eat. But like, you'll be fine. I'm not super, like, I wouldn't be super concerned about that of all things. Jeez, this has been recording for 30 minutes. Okay, I think I'm done with yapping. If you guys have any questions or, like, the document, anything about the stuff here or in the document, you can comment down below your questions and I will try to respond to them as soon as possible. If you're applying, good luck to you! You will do great, and I'm sure you'll end up at wherever is meant for you and everything will be fine. Alright. Bye-bye! I'm going to get out of this basement.